Sit down. Properly. You are going to want to be sitting for this one. It is 8:15 in the morning. Somebody at work asks how you are. You open your mouth to say fine, and what comes out is, I have not felt anything since March and I think I hate this building. You did not choose that. Nobody chose that. At midnight, without a single announcement, every human being on Earth quietly lost the ability to lie. Welcome back to the Absurd Academy. Today, nobody on this planet can say a thing they believe is false, and the world does not fall apart because people turn out to be cruel. It falls apart for a reason that is so much stupider and so much sadder than that. Here is how it works. You can still keep your mouth shut. You can still walk out of a room. You simply cannot say a sentence you know is not true. Try it, and the words come out corrected on the way, like your mouth has an editor, and the editor is not on your side. That is the only rule. Everything after this is just consequences. Minute 1. The first thing that breaks is not the government. It is small talk. Because small talk is a machine built almost entirely out of tiny agreed lies. Fine, thanks. You? No, it really suits you. We should do this again soon. Love what you have done with the kitchen. Take those away, and 8 billion people discover at the same moment that they have no idea how to begin a conversation. In offices across the planet there is just silence, and a great many people looking very hard at the carpet. Minute 6. Somebody works out that you can still text. For about 10 minutes, texting becomes the most valuable technology on Earth. Then everyone remembers that you have to eventually see the person, and the group chat goes very quiet. Hour 1. This is where it stops being funny, because the truth does not just leak out on its own. It leaks at the exact moment somebody asks. And a genuinely shocking number of the questions people ask are traps they have built for themselves and walked into. Do you actually like my cooking? Are you still in love with me? Was I a good father? Nobody is being cruel. Everybody is being accurate. And it turns out accurate can do damage that cruel never managed, because there is nothing to argue with afterwards. Hour 3. Advertising simply ceases to exist. Not banned. It just cannot produce a sentence. Somewhere a man in a very expensive chair stares up at a billboard that now reads, "This drink is sugar, water, and a feeling you had once when you were 19. Sales go up. Nobody can explain why." Hour 9. Somebody points out that children have been doing this the entire time. Every parent on Earth has already survived a small person announcing to a full bus that granddad smells like the inside of a bin. We did not lose the ability to be honest. We spent about 15 years being carefully trained out of it, and we called that growing up. Day 1. Now the institutions. Courtrooms empty out in an afternoon, because every trial now finishes before lunch. Diplomats stop taking meetings entirely. Every poker room on Earth closes. Job interviews become confessions, and oddly, a lot of people get hired anyway. And politics does something nobody predicted. It does not descend into chaos. It goes quiet, because once you strip out every claim a person cannot actually stand behind, most speeches turn out to be dramatically shorter than anyone expected. Day 2. Here is where the whole thing turns. Because everyone assumed the disaster would be humanity finally saying what it really thinks about itself. It is not. People are, on the whole, quite fond of each other, and being forced to say so out loud is mostly rather lovely. Strangers tell strangers they look exhausted, and ask if they are all right, and mean it. The disaster is a completely different sentence. It is 3 words. It is said by nearly everybody, about nearly everything. I do not know. That is the one. That is what actually breaks civilization. Because you cannot say a thing you believe is false. And it turns out that an enormous share of what comes out of a human mouth on an ordinary day is not a lie, and is not the truth either. It is a confident guess wearing a very nice coat. Week 1. Doctors who used to say you will be fine now say, I think so. Pilots say probably. Your mechanic, who has been saying that will hold for 30 years, stands in the garage for a long moment and says, honestly, I have no idea. I have just never seen one snap. Nothing has become less safe. It was always exactly this safe. You had simply never heard it said out loud. So here is what this episode is actually about, and it has almost nothing to do with honesty. Psychologists have been measuring this for decades, and the numbers are worse than you would like. In a study at the University of Massachusetts, 60% of people told at least one lie during a 10-minute conversation with a stranger. The average was 2 to 3. Most of them did not notice doing it. When they watched the recording back, they were genuinely surprised at themselves. And when Bella DePaulo asked people to keep a diary of every lie they told, ordinary adults came in at roughly 1 a day, and students at about 2. Almost none of them were the interesting kind. They were the kind that keep a room warm. Yes, I got your message. No, you were not being annoying. I would love to. I am just busy that night. Now here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Bond and DePaulo went back through 206 studies, with more than 24,000 people judging whether they were being lied to. The average accuracy was 54%. Coin gets 50. And when you split that number, it gets worse. People correctly caught a lie only 47% of the time. We are, as a species, slightly worse than random at spotting a liar. And we have built courts, hiring, and most of our opinions about other people on the confident assumption that we are excellent at it. Which means the lies were never really hidden from each other at all. We are hopeless at catching them. They were hidden from ourselves. Which brings us to the last morning. The switch flips back. Everybody can lie again freely whenever they like. And almost nobody does. Not because a week of honesty made everyone better. Because for 1 week they found out exactly how little of it they had been getting away with in the first place. Then there is Dave. Dave spent the entire week saying absolutely nothing to anybody, on the grounds that he had, in his own words, seen what happened to Karen. Karen told her book club what she genuinely thought of the book. There is no book club. There has not been a book club since Tuesday. And Granny had a wonderful week. Granny has been saying exactly what she thinks since roughly 1962. Noticed nothing whatsoever. And spent the whole thing wondering why everyone suddenly seems so tired. So here is the lesson, and it is not the one you came for. The small lies were never the rot. They are the padding. They are the reason 2 people can share a lift for 9 floors without either of them having to be properly known. The dangerous one was never the lie you told your friend about the haircut. It is the one you have been telling yourself every morning for years, in a voice so familiar that you stopped hearing it as a claim at all. That is the only lie in your life that nobody is ever going to correct out loud. And a world where everybody tells the truth would not catch it either. Because you are not lying when you say it. You believe it.
Hey, it's the Dean. One real thing before you go. The episode is a joke. The last part, it is not. You are not surrounded by liars. Most of the small ones are people trying to keep you comfortable. And you are doing exactly the same for them. That is not the problem. The problem is the one sentence you have never been repeating about yourself for years. You know which one. You did not decide it. Somebody else handed it to you a long time ago, and you are happy being quoting them ever since. Say it out loud today, once, properly out loud. Most of them do not survive the sound of your own voice.
Next time at the academy. At midnight, every debt on earth is canceled. Your mortgage, your card, your student loan, all of it gone. And you are going to be far more upset than you expect about who else gets to walk away with you. You have been watching The Absurd Academy, where the scenarios are fake and the lessons land harder than a sentence you did not mean to finish. Class dismissed.